Hi everyone, this is audap. Let's continue our game of Akaiito HD Remaster running on Nintendo Switch. Alright, we had our first encounter with the demons that are obsessed with us, I guess. That's well how I'd put it. Sakia-san? She waved her favorite camera with a big lens attached to it. I see. So that blinding flash of light I just saw must be the camera's strobe then. With so many awful things that happened one after another, I had completely forgotten that she was staying at this hotel as well. Putting on a serious look, Sakia-san began scrutinizing Yume-san. I guess she would only feel more confused to be told that she isn't human, and that the individual in question is already semi-transparent. What? Although I don't really know what she meant by that, but that's Sakia-san for you. Uzaki-san certainly had the beauty to rival renowned actresses, and if the shot also features Yume-san, one would actually be able to see the scenery behind her. No matter how you look at it, the picture would appear fake or loaded with special effects. They're really at loggerheads. I let out a stealthy sigh and avert my gaze from the quarreling duo. Then again, isn't the term lone wolf referring to a freelance reporter who doesn't bow down to people of power and privilege? Could it be that Saki-san became a freelance reporter that no company would hire and ended up making more money as a photographer because she had ruined her career due to events like this in the past? Come to think of it, could Wakasugi, Wakasugi be the same Wakasugi as in Wakasugi Bank, Wakasugi Enterprises, and Wakasugi Pharmaceuticals that are featured in history textbooks on post-war disenfranchisement? Now that I have defied Uzuki-san, does this mean I will be ostracized by the society and be designated as an Oni? As I raised my face to a cool metallic sound, I saw Uzuki-san sheathing the katana in its scabbard. When our eyes met, she smiled self-derisively and walked towards the door.
先ほどの連中に少しだけ共感したよ。厄介者に乱入されて、あとはどうでもよくなったりね。
じゃあユメイさんは
好きにするといい。
She stopped right before she was about to run into Sakuya-san, who stood in front of the door.
仮に私が切る気になっても、黙って見ている彼女じゃないだろうしね。
はいはい、お帰りはこちらだよ。
After Sakuya-san stood out of the way, Uzuki-san cast a quick glance at her before leaving the room. Chase after her, don't chase after her. We'll leave it as it is. As much as I wanted to chase after her, my legs refused to cooperate as I couldn't even stand up.
行っちゃった。
いいよいいよ。あんなやつは放っておきな。
あんなやつってそれはひどいよ。うずきさんは私を助けてくれたんだよ。
そうなのかい？私が見たのはその正反対のところだけだしね。それに私あいつのこと嫌いだし。
そっちが本音なんですね、咲夜さん。
おや。
ゆめいさん、大丈夫なの？大丈夫よ、ケイちゃん。うずきさんだったかしら。彼女のおかげでこうして形を保っていられるわ。
Her delicate white hand reached towards me and caressed my hair. Her touch was soft and gentle.
ケイちゃん、守ってあげられなくてごめんなさい。
She apologized while combing my hair, which was proof of my victimhood, with her hand.
そんなことないよ。ゆめいさんがいなかったらダメだった。
にしても、幽霊ってのは本当にいるもんなんだね。
Perhaps she was bored with her idle hands, so she started braiding my hair after it had been combed. Well, if she braided it so thinly and tightly, the marks of the twirls would remain on my hair.
咲夜さん。
いいのよ、ケイちゃん。確かに私は幽霊みたいなものなんだから。
She tapped my head gently after my hair had been taken care of.
でもね、ゆめいさん。
いいの？咲夜さん、ケイちゃんのことをお願いしますね。
ああ、今度こそ任されたよ。
I wonder if she was too engrossed in braiding my hair, but she simply responded vaguely without even looking up. Hmm? Although I was dismayed by Sakuya-san's manners, it did not seem to bother Yume-san. She assumed a proper posture and lowered her head. As her form began to grow thin and translucent, in fact, what she had just said could be taken as her parting words.
ゆめいさん、本当は大丈夫じゃないんじゃ。
いいえ、自分で形を解いているだけだから。
As she shook her head slowly, her transparent black hair wavered and reflected in the moonlight.
かりそめの形を保つのにはたくさんの力が必要になるの。だけど今の私にはそこまでの余裕はないから。
つまり使わない電気はこまめに消して省エネを心がけましょうと。できたできた。
She tugged at my finely braided hair as if she was pulling the switch of a light fixture.
幽霊は消える消えるは電気。
And she is singing some sort of song.
咲夜さん。
何怒ってるんだい？別に根性の別れってわけでもないんだからさ。
だとしても不謹慎だよ。使わない電気扱いなんてユメイさんに失礼だよ。
いいのよケイちゃん、その通りだもの。今の今までとどまったのは単なる私のわがままだもの。本当ならすぐにでも形を解いて力を蓄えるべきなんだから。
でもユメイさん。
I reached out my hand instinctively to touch her, but my hand went straight through her body.
私の助けが必要になった時に再び形をなせるように。
Being unable to stop my desperate attempt to reach her, I launched myself forward and fell flat on the floor.
おやおや、あんたも電池切れかい？朝っぱらから何事だい？恋文突っ返された乙女みたいに、この世のおしまいだって絶望的な顔して不景気なため息なんか吐いちゃってまあ。
そんなにひどい顔してないよ。
鏡でもないと本人には見えないからね。まあ、あんなことがあったんだからちょっとは寝不足だろうけどさ。
咲夜さんはいいね。悩みとかストレスなんかとは無縁そう。
なるほど。若き乙女の悩みなわけかい？人生の大先輩たる咲夜お姉さんに相談してみなよ。
お姉さんなら代がつくほど先輩じゃないだろうし、大先輩ならお姉さんじゃなくて。
なくて？
The air immediately grew heavy. This isn't the result I was hoping to achieve. If possible, I'd rather keep our conversation casual and lighthearted.
咲夜さんもお母さんの友達なんだから、そろそろお姉さんって年齢じゃないんじゃないかなって。
私がいくつかも知らないくせに憶測だけで人の世代を決めつけるんじゃないよ。小学生のお嬢さんから悠々自適の隠居じいさんまで、私の付き合いは幅がある方なんだけど。なんなら画像添付のメール見てみるかい
I see. Unlike me, whose friends are limited to other students that are one school year above or under me, her range of acquaintances is much broader. I suppose I'll concede and say that one cannot judge a person's age by the company they keep. However...
じゃあ、咲夜さんっていくつ？
さて、いくつだったかね。
And that's the feeling I'm getting from Sakyo-san. She is busy drizzling soy sauce over her slices of salmon, mincing them with her chopsticks, and finally putting them on her rice.
あ、咲夜さんお醤油かけすぎ。
いいだろう。私は塩気の効いてるのが好きなんだよ。鮭ならガチガチの塩漬けが一番だね。
お茶漬けにでもしないと辛いやつ？そんなんじゃ血圧上がるよ。長生きできないよ。
残念ながら憎まれっ子なんとやらさ。少なくともあんたよりは長生きするだろうよ。
As she speaks, the amount of rice she is ferrying into her mouth is probably twice more than what I fit into a mouthful. She's truly a voracious eater. Eating well, laughing well, and being constantly on the move, it does seem that Sakyo-san is more likely to live longer than me. But now that I think about it, Mom should also...
まったく、さっきからどうしたんだい？低血圧ってわけでもないんだろ？
今のはちょっと別。咲夜さんの食べっぷり見てたら、お母さんのこと思い出しちゃって。
ああ、真由美のやつはよく食ったね。で、 それじゃあその前は一体なんだい？
うずきさんが来てないなって。
When I scanned the dining hall, I saw no one who had her impeccable posture.
ゆうべあんな別れ方しちゃったから。
気にすることはないよ。あんな光り物振り回すような危ない連中に関わると決まって面倒なことになるしね。
Since what happened was so far outside of common sense, I can't help feeling that series of memories in my head was just part of the dream I had last night. As I can't get over that thought, I am expecting that Uzuki-san will show up like yesterday morning so that we can eat together again. But if Saki-san is bringing it up, it couldn't have been all in my head, I suppose. Or could this mean that I'm still in the middle of a dream right now?
大方あの後だってこの高ぶった血をどうしてくれようとかなんとか外をうろうろしてたんだろうしさ。
あのね、咲夜さん、うずきさんはそんな辻斬りみたいなこと。
次のニュースです。本日未明、ヘミズカ村で男性の変死体が発見されました。
During this pleasant time for breakfast, the news report of that gnarly incident felt rather ill-fitting. Not only that, the announcer mentioned a familiar location brought our collective attention onto the TV.
発見された男性は地元の中学校で歴史を教えている男性教諭加野川里森さん30歳。加野川さんは先日より帰宅しておらず、家族の方は安否を気遣っていたところ、思いがけない訃報となった様子です。
ああ、ついにやっちまったね。
だからうずきさんがしたわけじゃ。
体内に血液が残されていなかったことから、死因は出血死とみられています。なお、遺体が発見された現場付近に血痕がなかったことから、加野川さんが殺害されたのは別の場所とみられており、
こんな田舎まで最近は物騒なのね。
I overheard the conversation that the hostess was having with another customer as she walked past us, carrying an empty rice pot in hand. Not a drop of blood left, just like the vampire.
ほら、やっぱりうずきさんじゃないよ。吸血鬼ってのぞみちゃんとみかげちゃんのことだよ。だってあの子たち私の血を。
K の血がどうしたって？それにユメイじゃなくてのぞみに見かけだって？
She interrupted me and inquired about last night's events in a low, stern voice, complete with a glare.
私は途中参加だったからね。ユメイとウズキが来るまでの間にあんたに何があって、あんたは何を知ったんだい？
I put down my chopsticks and started going over everything that had transpired. I described my dream about my younger self with small hands, dyed red in the blood of someone I can't remember, and that the dream was accompanied by a dreadful red pain. And Nozomi-chan and Mikage-chan, who showed up after I had woken up, seemed to be the ones who showed me that nightmare to me. According to them, blood contains special power, and my blood is very unique. And then they attacked me, and Yume-san came to my rescue, but she was overpowered too. At the critical moment, Uzuki-san appeared.
まさか、ウズキはともかくあいつが。
あいつってのぞみちゃんたちのこと？咲夜さん知ってるの？
ああ、まあね。そののぞみと見かげってやつらは退治されてるはずなんだけど。
そうなの？
Come to think of it, they might have said something to that effect to Uzuki-san.
K、あんたもう帰りな。
Her words were so sudden and came out of nowhere.
帰れ？
さっきのニュースで言ってた通り、物騒な事件があって、まだその犯人は見つかっちゃいない。
だからそれはのぞみちゃんたちが。
相手がそういった類ならなおさらに。あんたが狙われているんだろ？そのくせ身を守る術を持っていないんだろ？それなら逃げるのは当然じゃないか。 いいかい？こっちに来た途端に狙われるようになったんなら、向こうに戻れば狙われなくなる。そいつらが追ってこない限りね。ユメイ一人じゃあんたをかばうのはきついみたいだし、今度はウズキが来てくれるとは限らない。あんたは帰るべきなんだよ。違うかい
？I'm not convinced. As I look around, I don't see Uzuki-san, or Uzuki-san anywhere.
だけどね、咲夜さん。
だけどってあんた、あんな目にあってまでこんなところに残りたいっていうのかい？
I still remember those terrifying red eyes fixed on me. I also remember that terrifying steel blade pointed at me.
危険を押してまでこっちに残りたいっていう理由が私にはわからないんだけどね。
それは
Actually, I would like to know that too. I do have a somewhat weak reason. I still haven't seen my father's house, which is what brought me here in the first place.
答えられないわけだ。だったらもういいだろ。恵美子さんの家だって昨日のうちに見て。
まだ見てないもん。
If it has come to this, even a weak reason will do. Although Saike-san is urging me to go home, I don't feel the least bit convinced.
まだ見てないもん。お父さんの実家。
だったね。ご神木まで行っておきながら、あんたは何をやってるんだか。
だってでも言っておきながらって。
あんたの頭には狭間って地名は入っていないのかい？あの山の入り口になってる鎮守の森の奥に狭間の屋敷があるんだよ。山に登る前にでも後にでも少し歩くだけで立ち寄れたはずなのにね。
だって昨日の朝は。
I embarked in a lofty mood, thinking I could share a conversation topic with Uzuki-san later. But given how much Sake-san seems to dislike Uzuki-san, I couldn't really say it.
やれやれ、仕方のない子だよあんたは。
咲夜さん。
気が出ている間なら大丈夫だろうから連れて行ってあげるよ。バスより私の車の方が何かと都合がいいだろうしね。
With a leftward turn of the steering wheel, the peaceful rural landscape suddenly vanished as my vision became shrouded in a thin darkness. When the feeling of inertia pulling me towards the driver's seat receded, a tunneled road lies before my eyes, seemingly cut out from the forest. The blue sky that has no ceiling is suddenly replaced by a variable shade of vegetation which filters out most of the sunlight. The bumpiness coming from the road grew more intense and rattled my seat.
ねえ、咲夜さん。この車ってデコボコ道に強いんじゃなかったっけ？
強いよ。そうでもなけりゃもっと安くて燃費のいい、環境にも懐にも優しい車に乗り換えてるよ。
でもガタガタ揺れてるよ。
走破性と居住性は別項目だからね。前者なんかは乗り心地最悪だって話だよ。それよりK、前に見える脇道。
Prompted by Sakyo-san, I shifted my gaze over the windshield. And in that brief moment we had already passed that narrow path. If you hadn't known it to be there beforehand, you will probably missed it.
昨日はあそこから入ったんだろ？
旅館のおかみさんに教えてもらって。
それでもう少し進むとだね。ほら。
We were fast approaching the end of the tunnel. As my eyes had already adjusted to the soft, intermittent light, the intense white light from the sun became too glaring for me to spot that house ahead. I narrowed my eyes in order to limit the amount of light in my vision. The end of the tunnel is coming ever closer.
K、どうしたんだい？
Saki-san's voice brought me back to the reality. It appears that I was in a daze for more than just a moment. The car has suddenly been parked under a shadow just outside the forest exit, and the engine is already off.
別になんでもない。
ならいいけど、もうついてるよ。私もここに来るのは随分と久しぶりだね。
As Sake-san opened the door, a wave of heat from outside rushed into the air-conditioned interior of the car.
ちょっと待って。
As Sake-san got out from the car with rapid movements, I quickly opened the passenger door to follow her. All right, I have to undo the seatbelt first. Having liberated myself from the seat, I poked out my upper body to check the height of the step down. Given how high the chassis of the car is, getting on and off can be a little tough.
ほら。
ありがとう。咲夜さん優しい。
おだてたって何にも出ないよ。
Sake-san circled around the car over to my side to lend me a hand so that I can step down and set foot on the rough dirt floor.
ほら、到着だ。あれが恵美子さんの家で、あんたが生まれた屋敷だよ。
Following Sake-san's glaze, my eyes turned to the imposing outline of an undisturbed mansion beyond its now weed-strewn front yard. For starters, it's a one-story building that appears to be very old. Despite its apparent age, the site covers a sizable lot of land, and I could see a shed-like building near the mansion. Although the mansion is not enclosed by a gate or hedge, the forest itself would serve as an adequate enclosure. The house itself is surrounded by open space, like the center of a donut. The black shingles are overgrown with moss, and the house seems to have blended into the nature around it.
ああ、お金持ちのお屋敷みたい。
一応、ヘミズカの昔話に出てくる長者の末ってことになってるからね。
そうなの？
佐藤や武藤の例と同じで、加藤の藤も藤原氏の縁故だからなんだとさ。
藤原氏か。
Speaking of the Fujiwara family, the most famous is probably Fujiwara no Michinaga of the full moon, but in this area, maybe the people from Fujiwara no Yondai are more popular. The fact is, many of the notable figures appearing on textbooks have been Fujiwara, and of the names made with the To character, Sato seems to be the most common family name in Japan.
なんかピンとこないな。
だろうね。それに本当のところ、あんたのハトは藤原ゆかりのせいじゃないし。
なんだ。
ご先祖が長者だっていうのは間違いないんだけどね。来る途中、森に入るまでの間、見渡す限り田畑が広がっていただろう。
うん。
あれ、戦後の農地改革まではほとんどハトの持ち物だったんだよ。恵美子さんがあんたぐらいの時はそうだったから、まだ最近だ。
That example was much easier to grok compared to name-dropping Fujiwara so-and-so.
すごいな。時代が違ったら、私もお嬢様だったり、お姫様だったりしたわけだ。
ああ、お姫様だったね。
でもまあ、昔は昔、今は今だよね。私は手狭なアパート暮らしが身に馴染んだ庶民だし。
生まれたのはこの屋敷でだけどね。それじゃ、中を見に行こうか。
Following in Sake-san's footsteps, I traversed the weed-strewn courtyard, an unfamiliar terrain that I'd be much more hesitant to tread under normal circumstances. But compared to yesterday's hike, this is, quite literally, a walk in the park. As long as I just follow the stepping stones and hop along them, I can get by without stepping on the weed.
いや、ケンケン。
Sake-san stood still all of a sudden, and I ended up bumping my nose against her back. Since I was hopping my way forward, I wasn't able to reduce the momentum of my jump.
はいはい。
静かに。何かいる。
I gave a genuine cry of surprise, and in order to muffle the noise I made, I lowered the hand that was covering my nose to cover my mouth instead. What can it be? I guess if the house has been abandoned for so long, someone might have moved in, but... The sound of that unexpectedly loud sniffing made me thought there might be a bear around us, only to learn that it came from Sakuya-san. Sniffing about, she turned her head this way and that, searching for the source of the smell she caught. Even though she did say something about her keen sense of smell, I thought straining my ears would be the right thing to do at this moment. Naturally, as far as my own nose is concerned, I can't detect anything beyond the scent of grass, not to mention that my nose is still hurting from that accidental collision earlier. Sakuya-san stopped her movement, and it either means she had found something or she simply gave up.
そこだ!
In a split second, her switch from stillness to motion seemed faster than the start of a 100-meter sprint. It was more akin to the sudden acceleration of a feral beast. Bringing her long legs to a slide, she skidded across the grass in her chosen direction and plowed straight ahead. I heard a girl's voice. It still has that characteristic pitch of a little girl, and a brush nearby began to rustle. And what bursts forth from the rustling brush is a white creature that is covered in a white coat from head to tail. While wagging its tail like a bundle of pampas grass, that animal scurried towards the forest. For some reason, it would stop intermittently to appraise the situation by turning its head around, and thus, in spite of its nimble movements, I'm still able to keep my eyes on it. As I hardly ever get to see any wild animals other than cats and dogs up close, so it got me a little excited. But then, the absurdity of the situation struck me. Right in front of me is a white fox, and when it comes to the signature trick that foxes are known for... Now I am equipped with the necessary experience to believe in such ridiculous things that only appear in fairy tales. If blood-sucking oni actually exist, foxes and tanukis that trick people should be fair game too.
ケイ、それで納得したら化かされたことになるよ。そっちはおとりだよ。
Ignoring the fox, Sakuya-san continued forth and thrusted her hand in the brush after stopping. The voice of that girl. It's the voice of that girl I just heard.
音や姿は他に託せても、匂いまでは分散させられないからね。
Pulling her hand with a rustle, Sakuya-san grabbed a girl around elementary school age by her collar from the brush. She asked me as she put her forearm to her nose to take a whiff, with an expression suggesting she couldn't smell anything in particular.
私の鼻は特別でね。
はあ、それは運がなかったですけど、引き時をわきまえなかったのが一番の敗因ですよね。このところ、この辺りも騒がしくなってきたんですけど、なかなか居心地いいもので、ついついグズグズしてしまいましたからね。今朝も山に登っていく人を見かけましたから、そこで逃げとくべきだったんですよね。山に登っていく人？はいです。こっちの家には目もくれず、まっすぐ脇道に入っていきましたが。
Could that person be...
その人って髪の長い綺麗な人じゃなかった？黒い制服着てて、こう剣道の竹刀を入れるような袋を持ってる。はいはい、そんな感じでしたね。北斗学院附属の制服でした。確か剣道部が全国大会常連の古豪ですけど、よもや山ごもりじゃありませんよね。あ、詳しい。
That said, I only had an inkling that it could happen, but Uzuki-san really did come to this mountain. And if she came to this mountain, there's only one spot she could be. That very spot where I ran into Keikun yesterday, where the sacred tree of Oshihira-sama towers above a clearing. Thinking back, Uzuki-san's expression was so sharp and grim when she talked about Keikun that it frightened me. That must be her face as an Onigiri officer. Worried about Uzuki? It doesn't matter. Well, I'm probably worried about her.
なんだい？うずきのことが気になるのかい？
別に。
In fact, it's very much a matter of... But when I think about what happened last night, I don't know what I should do. Even if we met, we won't have anything to say.
そうかい。君子危うきに近寄らずだから、それならそれでいいんだけどね。
質問よろしいでしょうか。今話題になってるそのうずきさんという方は、近寄ると危ない類の人なんでしょうか。
危ないって言えば危ないね。あんたはともかく、そっちの相棒なんかは一寸刻み五分刻みだね。あいつのご先祖様は、狐殺しのうち一人だし。
それは恐ろしいですね。怖いですね。二つ合わせて恐怖なんですね。
The White Fox nodded in agreement. I'm not sure if he really understood what is being said, or he's just pretending. That said, in children's stories, people seem to believe white foxes to be messengers of Inari Okami, and they are supposed to be fantastical creatures. But even if Uzuki-san has threatened to slay Yume-san, I still don't think Uzuki is someone who can't be convinced by rational argument.
まあそういうことだから、さっさと逃げるに越したことないよ。
逃げるにやぶさかでないんですけど、果たして私たちは逃がしていただけるんでしょうか。
She said without showing any sign of fear, even though she is still being grabbed by her collar.
ケイ、どうする？
私が決めるの？
この家の相続権持ってるのはケイだろ？
じゃあ話してあげてもいいんじゃないかな。
ほい。
わあ、なんともあっさり。
じゃあ捕まえとこうかね。
ケイお姉さん助けてください。話してあげようよ。
はいはい。
Okay then.
それで、そちらがケイお姉さんで、そちらが咲夜さんですね。自己紹介したっけ？お二人の話を聞いているうちにそれぐらいの情報は。私、若杉つづらと申します。
Tsuzura-chan bowed.
そっちのは尾花です。
Obana lowered his head too. Tsuzura-chan seems really clever for her age, and Obana-chan looks just as smart as well. I bet he must have learned basic tricks such as hold hands.
じゃあ、あたしらはこの屋敷の中を一通り見たら町に引き返すんだけど、その時に。
はいです。駅まで乗せていってくださるのであればほんの字です。だけどつづらちゃん、尾花ちゃん連れて電車に乗れるの？問題ないです。荷物の中に隠しておけば泣いたり暴れたりしませんから。でもそれって暑くて窮屈そう。暑いのは乗るまでの辛抱ですよ。人事ですけど。わ、さりげにクールだ。
あたしの車なら時間に関係なく今すぐにでも出れるんだけどね。
だから明日の電車で帰るってば、今日は最後の晩餐と温泉を心ゆくまで味わうの。
The feast, I mean dinner, is probably prepared and served at the dining hall, and as I made my way there, Sakya-san was still trying to talk me out of the idea. She was telling me now that I've seen the Hazama mansion, it's time for me to go home.
夕べのあれで懲りてないなんて、 あんたも喉元すぎれば忘れる口かい？別に夜中に立ってもいいんだよ。車内の広さは十分あるし、シェラフも積んであるから、眠いなら寝ててくれて構わないし。
If you get tired along the way, you can just sleep right inside.
十分な睡眠が必要なのは運転手さんの方。夜中に無理して運転するのだって同じぐらい危ないんだから。大丈夫。向こうだって昨日で懲りたと思うから、しばらくは来ないんじゃないかな。
Why is the main character such a moron? We have the dumbest main character.
それはどうかね。
咲夜さんは見てないけど、うずきさんが刀を一振りしただけで逃げ帰っちゃったんだよ、のぞみちゃんたち。
あんたと変わらない若さで役を継いでるうずきの実力は、まあ認めないこともないけどね。そのうずきとは切れたままじゃないか。
それはそれ、これはこれだと思うよ。私を助けるためじゃなくて、お化けじゃな。
それも奴がいればの話だけどね。ほら、うずきはいないよ。
うずきさんだけじゃなくて他のお客さんだってまだだよ。おかみさん、今日のご飯も楽しみにしてます。
あら、加藤さんに浅間さんが今日の一番乗りですね。
ですね、明日チェックアウトすることになったんで、晩ご飯は今日が食べ納めなんですよ。
あらあら、そうなんですか。
そういうわけで明日の朝ごはんまでお世話になります。
I said as I bowed to her.
そうなの。もう少しでお召し上がりになれますから、存分に味わってくださいね。
はい、それはもう。
With a nod, the hostess excused herself as I turned toward Sakia-san, who had disappointment written all over her face. I smiled at her gleefully.
もう今日まで泊まるって言っちゃった。
まったく、何を言っても無駄なんだね。普段はふにゃふにゃ骨なしなのに、決めたらテコでも動かないのは真由美譲りだよ。
そりゃあね、ずっとお母さんに育てられてきたんだもん。
Sakia-san sighed deeply in resignation, and dinner tonight turned out to be just as delicious as I had anticipated, so much so that it even lifted Sakia-san out of her frustration. Although the food was excellent, all the eating utensils had been cleared away, and Uzuka-san still hadn't shown up in the dining hall. As I tumbled upon the spread futon, a huge yawn escaped from my mouth. It was such an exaggerated yawn that it would make me rather embarrassed if someone else were to see it. It's a good thing that I'm by myself at this moment. Even with plenty of sleep, I'm the type to get naturally drowsy after a refreshing dip in the bath. What time is it now, anyway? Instead of standing up, I simply crawled towards the tea table and reached for my cell. Floating in the liquid digital display, the digital characters read 2345.
よし。
I made a victory pose for no apparent reason. Although such combinations of numbers will no doubt show up once each day, seeing it without having planned for it gives me joy for such a happy coincidence. At any rate, in just 15 minutes, the date will change to tomorrow. Maybe it's because I overstayed my visit at the bath, but by the time I finished drying my hair, it was already this late. Normally I would stay awake for another hour, but today I'll just go to sleep. Wait, I have a feeling that I have forgotten to do something. What can it be? Give Yoko-chan a call? That reminds me, things have been so hectic since morning, so I have yet to call Yoko-chan. I checked the time again, and it will soon be right in the middle of the night. What to do? Since Yoko-chan sleeps early by habit, I Would rather not call her at this time if I can help it. But if I don't keep in touch with her, she'll probably complain about how I don't value our friendship. Then again, I recall Yoko-chan saying that if someone really has something urgent, they will call the landline at her home. So if she's already asleep at home by now, she would have turned off her cell. In that case, I can call without having to worry about waking her up. Once I worked out that logic, I felt much better about what I am about to do. I pushed the buttons on my cell to get to Yoko-chan's number.
もうすぐ深夜0時を回ります。良い子のみんなは寝る時間だぞ。
陽子ちゃんは良い子なの？
あちゃー、厳しいとこ突っ込んでくるのね。もしかしてそっちの山で武者修行でもした？
いろいろ視線を切り抜けて、それなりに経験値もらえたと思うよ。
パーティーの中に加えるだけ加えとけば、何もしなくても均等分配ってやつ？
結構そんな感じかも。
Although I wouldn't do so myself, but Yoko-chan is a fan of video games, and she would watch other people play while describing what's going on in the game. She did invite me to play with her, but RPGs are interesting enough to just watch without participating, and games that require good reflexes are just not my cup of tea.
それで、そっちはどう？
セーブするファイルを選んでね。セーブするファイルを選んでね。
Alright, well, we stop it there for now. This is audap. You've been watching Akaiito HD Remaster running on Nintendo Switch. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you at the next stream.